It's the Texans and the Colts for the second time this season. Indianapolis looking for revenge for what happened in week one as the Texans took care of business. They're going to need some performances from some non-star players to make this happen. The Texans will need that too. That's the backbone of who better ball. Who better ball? Non-star players that need to play well for their team to have a chance at victory. It's powered by my friends at BetUS, where you can get a 150% bonus up to $2,000 on your first deposit when you check out BetUS with the code YouTube150. Who better ball? Let's start over on offense for the Houston Texans. How about Tank Dell at wide receiver? It has not looked anywhere close to the Tank Dell that played last season for the Texans. Last year, he was on pace for 1,200 yards and 12 touchdowns before he hurt his leg against the Denver Broncos. This year, not on pace for that. It has not been easy to get Tank Dell going. A lot of sideways stuff to Tank Dell. He didn't even have a catch last week after he dropped a touchdown early on in the game against the Green Bay Packers. What better time to show up than right now for Tank Dell against this Indianapolis Colts team? Dell was one of the best separators in football last year. One of the absolute best in getting away from his man. That average separation score is cut in half this year. He's not getting separation. Maybe he can start separating from the Colts this week and separate himself from the slow start to his 2024 season. If Dell gets going, I'm not sure how the Indianapolis Colts will be able to beat the Houston Texans. He's going to need the offensive line to take care of their business, keep CJ Stroud upright, though. But if Dell's rolling, the Texans should be rolling as well. Similarly, over on the Colts side of things, hey, if Alec Pierce is rolling, the Colts will be rolling. We all remember week one. Alec Pierce was phenomenal against this Texans team. 3 huge explosive catches, and really, he's only had one other good game this season. That was against Jacksonville a couple of weeks later after the Texans. You can't let him get going. You can't let him take the top off this defense and make things easier for Anthony Richardson to run the football, or Jonathan Taylor to run the football, or Josh Downs to get the ball short and over the middle. Pierce has to get put in check. You can't let him get those big explosive plays. They carried the Colts last game, those big plays. If you eliminated those, Indianapolis may not have been able to move the football in that last matchup. Don't let Alec Pierce get you again if you're the Houston Texans. And if you're the Indianapolis Colts, I mean, it's a no-brainer. You start taking the top off, everything else in front of you starts to get easier from running with Taylor and Richardson to getting Josh Downs the ball. Pierce gets going, the Texans will be in trouble, and the Colts will be on their way to revenge. Speaking of revenge, I got to imagine the Colts defense wants revenge for what Joe Mixon did to them in week one. I don't believe they're going to get it. My friends at BetUS have the code YouTube150 for you to try it out. You're going to get that 150% bonus up to $2,000 on your first deposit. And this is the prop builder. You see it over here on the side. You can select your game. We're going Colts and Texans. We're going to the over-unders, and we're going to the rushing yards. Joe Mixon, over 79.5. It's juicy. That's okay. We don't care. Joe Mixon, over 79.5 rushing yards. He has not gone under 100 in full games that he has played. He's going to take care of business against this Colts team. It's that easy to get it going over at BetUS. And again, that 150% bonus up to $2,000 with your code YouTube150 is the way that you can get it. It is that easy and that simple to get going over on BetUS. It's Joe Mixon, over 79.5 rushing yards. I mean, come on. Of course he's going over 79.5. He's a wrecking ball. He's been barreling through defenses. Man, so easy to do it at BetUS, and so many different things to bet on, especially when you use the prop builder. I would bet that the Colts know that Jaylen Jones needs to have a good game. Now, you may not recognize this name. Jaylen Jones is one of the starting corners for the Indianapolis Colts. He wears a unique cornerback number. He wears 40, so it looks kind of weird when he's out there at cornerback, but he has been one of the most targeted defensive backs for the Colts, but he hasn't given up a touchdown this year, and he's allowing a passer rating of 70. So he's been really, really good. And when we talk about getting the offense going through the air, if Jones can slow down whatever Texans wide receiver he's defending, make it that much more difficult for the Texans to get going through the air. Remember, no Nico Collins in this one, so you will need Diggs, you will need Dell. And if Jones can stop one of those guys on a consistent basis, man, you can absolutely see how the Indianapolis Colts are going to have a much easier time slowing down the Texans and maybe even beating them in this revenge game that they have in front of them. Again, weird number. A lot of yards against him this year, but no touchdowns and a 70 passer rating when he's been targeted. That's the type of guy that you can absolutely count on if you're the Colts and you need to have a big day against this Texans team if you want to have a shot at upsetting the Houston Texans in Houston, just like they made you upset in week 1 by beating you in your house. And finally here in Who Better Ball, Texans safety Jaylen Petri. This could be the Jaylen Petri game in a good way or a bad way. Petri's got to be able to help out with the Colts rushing attack, darting in there, making things difficult for Jonathan Taylor, keeping him from taking off outside and getting outside and really busting a big run. Petri's also got to help out when Anthony Richardson gets to moving and scrambling and shaking back there from the quarterback spot. Now, Petri's not going to do this on his own, but helping out, embodying that swarm mentality, getting a bunch of defenders there, slowing those rushers down for the Colts. Petri's got to have a big one in helping out the rush defense from that safety linebacker. I just call it the Jaylen Petri position that he plays. So he's got to be very, very good from that position in helping out with the run. But here's the real important thing that Petri's in charge of in this matchup. Josh Downs is one of the better and more impressive slot receivers in the league. And Downs is back for this matchup. He was not there for the first Colts and Texans matchup. Downs didn't play, wasn't available, and this Colts team is much better when Downs is on the field. They can do a whole lot more with their offense when they can just dump it over the middle to him. Well, we've seen slot receivers attack the Texans safeties and attack Jaylen Petri and have some success from there. If Downs is having a big day against Jaylen Petri, well, the Colts will run away with this thing. But if Petri can keep Downs in check and maybe, just maybe, force a turnover when Anthony Richardson tries to get it to Downs, I mean, you can start to see how the Texans would roll the Colts again this season and get another victory against Indianapolis. It won't be easy, Petri's job on Sunday, but it is necessary for the Texans to get a victory in this one. So, 2 DBs, 2 wide receivers in this one. Tank Dell and Jaylen Petri for the Texans, and then Alec Pierce and Jaylen Jones for the Indianapolis Colts. They are who better ball in this matchup. Who better ball for you in this matchup? Let me know in the comment section down below. Throw me a thumbs up on the video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And don't forget to check out our friends at BetUS. We're betting over on Joe Mixon's rushing yards. You can get in at BetUS, and when you try out BetUS, use the code YouTube150 for that 150% bonus, up to $2,000 on your first deposit. Appreciate you watching the video. Hope you enjoyed it, and I can't wait until we talk Texans again soon.